So what I want to talk about today is how a sprout made me fat and other business problems that you might encounter. I remember maybe 3 years ago, I realized that my body shape wasn't what I thought it was. I always saw myself as someone who was slim or medium build, and the scales told me that at 15 stone and 5'9.5", that's not really medium to slim. And I embarked on this journey, what I call gaining lightness, releasing weight loss, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it gaining lightness. And when I started on that journey, I realized that there was a fundamental part of me did not want me to lose weight. And it came from my childhood. My parents grew up in the post-war period in the UK, a period of immense scarcity. And one thing that was absolutely drilled into me as a child was you must clean your plate. And that brings me to a Christmas day with the whole family around the table having Christmas lunch. I was maybe 8 years old, and I hated sprouts. Still do, always have done. And I don't just hate sprouts. When I put a sprout in my mouth, I actually, my stomach wants to let everything go. Sorry to be so disgusting, but that's what it makes me feel like. I cannot stand the taste of sprouts. And there I was, I'd eaten everything on my plate, and on my plate was a single errant sprout. Cold, disgusting, not something I wanted to eat. And my family said that nobody could leave the table, nobody could open their presents, nobody could have any pudding until I had cleaned my plate. So that belief was so deeply entrenched in the culture and value system of the family I grew up in, that here I was on Christmas Day, and I sat for 2 hours in tears, waiting, with everybody else waiting for me to do with a sprout. I think eventually, I can't remember if I gave up or they gave up, but we sat there for an immensely long period of time, and it was hugely painful. That was the level and depth of this belief in our family. So unsurprisingly, here I am years later, and I want to gain lightness, I want to let go of weight. And I realized I found it immensely difficult to stop eating until my plate was clean. So even if I had too much food on my plate, I would finish it off, knowing that that was going to get in the way of me achieving my goal, achieving my outcome of gaining lightness. It was what I call a competing commitment. And it was a very powerful competing commitment. In fact, I turned it round to serve me. Having realized that I had this deep-seated belief that I had to clean my plate, I then actually used it as a signal that I was gaining lightness. Whatever serving or portion of food that I had, no matter how big, no matter how small, I was deliberately leaving something on the plate. It might be the smallest forkful, it might be half of what I was given, but I was always leaving something on the plate as a sign that I was gaining lightness. So I used this competing commitment for me rather than against me. But I think about people in business, I think about people who are going through transformation. Maybe you or maybe your clients. What are the competing commitments that are getting in the way of them being successful? I can think of simple ones. I know someone who uses humor as a mask, as something to hold people at distance, because they're uncomfortable about being truly seen. And again, that might have stemmed from something in childhood. And they'll use humor to, in their minds, diffuse a situation, to make a situation feel safer for them. The reality was, it meant that no one was taking them seriously. No matter how committed and serious they were about their business, they weren't being taken seriously. Or the person I can think of who, as a child, really didn't get seen. It was a household, they had a value system of children are seen but not heard. And so even though they knew they had something to say, even though they knew they had something to commit to their situation, to their meetings, to their projects or whatever, they wouldn't speak up. And even if they did, they would start with, oh, I'm really sorry, I just want to say this. And they wouldn't get taken seriously. Their contribution wouldn't be seen as powerful. a competing commitment. So if you're stuck in making a transformation, think about what's that competing commitment for you. If you're working with a team or you're working with individuals and they're stuck, no matter how committed they seem, there's an alternative commitment somewhere deep inside, perhaps in quite a vulnerable place, which is competing with their service commitments. Once you can help people identify that competing commitment, they can make the most incredible transformations. For me, it was simple. Once I'd identified that my competing commitment was I must clean my plate, smaller plates, leaving something as a signal to know that I was achieving my outcome, I turned it to be something that would serve me rather than work against me. So think about what questions you can ask. Think about what you can do to explore what that competing commitment might be for you or for your clients. Let me know what becomes